Here with Dave at NITROUS Competitions, so thank you for doing this.
No problem.
So yeah, just to get started for everyone watching, is where did it begin for you?
Well, it began for me when I had tried a few different things, selling cars. I bought a bag van and tried to make that work. That didn't happen. And I'd saved up a big deposit for a house. Back then it was a big deposit for me, my situation, which was 18 grand. I was living with my mum at the time because we was going to buy her house with her.
Okay.
Right. So I'd saved up enough for that and enough for my own deposit once we'd got that across the line. But I decided to chuck all my eggs into one basket and start NITROUS. So I got the developer on board, building the website, chucked all the money, all my free money into it, because you have to get payment processors on board, as you know yourself. And for this industry, it's not very easy. They want to know all the ins and outs, projections, everything. So I had to come up with that. I had to basically write out my own terms and conditions as well, which I did. And then get them overseen by a lawyer to sort of, make them official. Very difficult industry to begin with. It's still a difficult industry, to be honest with you. But we started out in my mum's kitchen.
Yeah.
Basically, I bought a ball machine off this guy. He makes all sort of machines, gaming machines and stuff. I plonked this big ball machine in the corner of my mum's kitchen, which was about, 1.5 metre by 1.5 metre square. It was massive, and it was just plonked in the corner, and that's where it stayed. And every draw night I would put some material that I bought from the market, black material, all around my mum's dining room to make it look like a studio, right?
Yeah.
She's actually still got the hooks in her ceiling now from where it started up. So that's where we started. I started the company, and then I brought Matthew in a couple of months in, when really the company didn't take off as I thought it would. I thought, this prize, what I had, which was a motocross bike at the time, would do amazing. It didn't sell itself, so I seen Matty doing it on Facebook, doing the 1 to 49, which is the bonus ball to draw a winner.
Okay.
He was doing quite well. I seen him, and I mentioned it to my partner at the time, and the very next day he actually messaged me out of the blue. Didn't know him from anywhere apart from I'd seen him on Facebook.
Yeah.
And his message was, "Oh, you need me on your team, mate." So I thought, all right, okay. So I messaged him back and I went, "Okay, well, why don't we have a get together and see what we can figure out?" So we met at Hollywood Bowl and we had a pint and we discussed something. And the next day I took over a shareholders agreement, and he signed it, and it just blew up from there. Really, he had a massive audience we could market to, which was a motocross selling page, which we've still got today.
Okay.
Which initially helped us out. Without that, I don't think the business would have survived, because at the time we had a minimum fee that I had to pay to the payment processing company, which was about 500 quid a month, with all that sales. If I didn't sell a ticket, I still had to give them 500 quid. And I was a lorry driver at the time, which that sort of money 7 years ago was quite a lot of money. I know it's only 7 years ago, but it's still 700 quid on a lorry driver's wages per month. And I had the developer fees and also the hosting fees, which is for your website. It was just accumulating, and I was in trouble, and then so that's why I took the decision to give Matty half of my company for free, because I knew without him it was probably going to sink. So that's what I did. I gave him half the company for free. He had to be the face of the company because I don't like going on camera. I've learned to live with it a bit more now, because there's been times I've had to do it. So it's just it snowballed and snowballed, and more so when COVID come in.
Yeah.
Because all of the, you know, the horse racing, the football, everything was just, it was nullified. There was nothing going on. And all of a sudden, we went from doing around about 70k a week in sales to 650k a week in sales. You know, it really boomed.
Yeah.
It really boomed and gave us a leg up. And back then in 2019, when COVID kicked in, there wasn't very many people doing it. We were one of the first. You know, there was, I'm not going to mention them by name, so I don't like giving them free advertising. But there was a couple of other guys at it. One had been at it since like 2002, was in the airports and all that. Like, it doesn't take a lot of genius to work out who it is. And then there was another guy, and then there was us. So, you know, we kind of had the monopoly on it.
Yeah.
And we took it to social media, got everybody interacting with us, built up our following, seemed to be overnight. You know, now we've got 520k followers, you know. And that's just on one page. We've got 67 on another page, and yeah, we've got a lot of followers scattered about. But on our main page, we've got 520k followers, and that mainly was built from an organic reach.
Yeah.
So without the sponsored ads and everything else that you have to put a lot of money into nowadays, which is absolutely ridiculous how much money we spend. You know, you're talking hundreds of thousands of pounds per month. Yeah. Literally. And that's just for Facebook, let alone all the other avenues where you have to spend money to make that reach happen now. As opposed to years ago, when we first started, you could make that reach organically. But the powers that be on the social media platforms have now put a stop to that. Yeah. So you have to get your hand in your pocket.
My next question is, why is it changed? So it's more
because
the platforms.
Because they know how to extract cash. How the company is. They're very good at it. That's why they're worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. You know, as a business, it's crippling. It really is. But it is the only way you can function. If we stamped out all advertising, you know, all avenues of, you know, Google ads, Facebook, things like BSB, which we took money into, you know, to get ourselves out on TNT and everything else, you'd sort of be dead in the water compared to years ago where you'd put a post out and it'd reach a few thousand people. Now you're lucky if it reaches a couple of hundred people, because they want you to spend your money. They want you to put it all into advertising, you know, and they're very good at extracting it out of you. Very good, because without it, you go nowhere.
Yeah. And because, like you say, is when you first started, it was very new, but now it seems to be a lot of people doing it now. Does that make a difference?
Saturated. Or? It is absolutely saturated. It does make a difference. Yeah. Every man and his dog is at it, and they think it's an overnight success story. Years ago, possible. It was possible years ago, but not anymore. Yeah. It just doesn't happen anymore. You'll see. Time and time again, there'll be more people coming in and folding 3 months down the line because they've gone big too soon. They've sort of like gone and put on a Range Rover that's worth 50 grand, but they've got 500 followers. It doesn't make sense. Each one of them followers would have to spend in the region of like 100 quid just to break even, you know, or 200 quid should I say to break even. And they're not prepared. They'll spend a quid or two, and you know, and there's a lot of people fixing it who aren't on proper platforms. And like we are, we've got a proper developer that's called Zap. I think they're called just Zap now. I'm not sure, but they develop a lot of websites for a lot of these competition companies. We've been with them for a few years now. They are the best in the game. They're so good at bringing on new stuff and developing us and just evolving with the times, because you know, we never used to do instant wins. It wasn't a thing back when we started. You know, it was just one prize, one winner. Yeah. Whereas now you've got instant wins where we put 10 cars on. We've got a competition running now where there's 40 bikes on one instant win comp, and every time you have a go, you've got a chance of winning one of them bikes, and your numbers are still in to win the M prize as well, which is like 5 or 10 grand, whatever it is. So you have to evolve. You have to keep evolving, or you get left behind. You know, you have to keep up with the Joneses, or you get left behind. So Yeah, it's difficult. It's a very difficult, saturated market at the moment. Yeah.
Now, what made you think about raffling a bike?
Well, I was into motocross.
Yeah.
I used to, like I said to you earlier before we started this, I was going out to practice tracks every week on my own. I just love bikes, love engines, I love the smell of two-stroke, you know, and just anything with an engine really. As you know, I've raced cars and I race sports bikes myself as well now. I own another company called NITROUS ADM Racing, which is GB3 and GB4. If anybody knows what that is, basically if you put that car next to a Formula 1 car, there's not a lot of difference other than size. Yeah. You know, they've got the halo, they've got the DRS, they've got everything that a modern day Formula 1 car's got, other than a budget of probably 100 million quid. But yeah, so that was my first thought. That was what I gravitated to, was a motocross.
Yeah.
You know, so I thought, oh well, I'll put a bike on, because I know everybody loves motocross. Where I come from, everybody loves bikes. Everybody I know loves bikes, and everybody I hang around with and drink with and stuff like that. The pubs back then were into bikes, so that was just something that I gravitated to. Initially it was, this is going to sell loads of tickets. It's a motocross bike. Why wouldn't you buy a ticket if you can win it? You know, but again, that wasn't the case. I had to get Matty on board to make that happen.
Yeah, and then, as you're saying about anything with an engine, and something I wanted to touch to was, because when I first met you, we discussed it, planes, because you started flying.
I did. I used to take lessons in little Cessnas. Yeah. You know, again, it's got an engine, and
it's just a thrill, isn't it? Is that?
It is. It's got an engine. It takes skill to operate it. You know, to fly it, to ride it, to drive it, whatever. There's a skill involved, and it's fast. So anything that goes fast, I'm into. As we were discussing earlier, skiing. I go down a mountain at 60 miles an hour. It makes me happy. You know, it puts a smile on my face, and so that was why. I had a little pilot's logbook every time I do a lesson, and I was in the middle of taking my pilot's test, PPL.
Oh, okay.
Private pilot's license. I think it's abbreviated.
That's right. Yeah.
And I couldn't afford it. It was way before NITROUS started, probably 5 years before that, and I just had to stop halfway through taking exams. Couldn't afford it anymore, and that was that. So that come to a head, and yeah.
Is it something you would want to revisit, or you kind of done that?
No, it's not. It's a possibility. At the moment, all my money's spoken for, so I can't even. I wouldn't even like to go into anything else at the minute. I do karting. I race karts with my son, Joseph. So when I'm not at No Limits and I'm not at BSB, I'm away karting with him. Every weekend's taken up. There's no free weekends whatsoever. So at the moment, no. Maybe in years to come, you know, when things have calmed down a little bit, maybe I'm not riding the bikes anymore because I'm at that age and whatever. Possibly I may think, you know, it's easier, sit there and you know, it's not really going to be too much strain on the body. I might have a go. Yeah, I'll never say never anyway. Yeah.
And so getting on to the bike racing, how did you get in? Were you racing before, or
before
you started? So before you got involved with OMG?
Yeah, I started racing, I think it was the back end of 2022. I did 2 race weekends on a 600.
Okay.
I actually bought Steve Hennigan's bike from the Macau Grand Prix, which was a 1200cc Ducati. Yeah. Bear in mind, I've never ever ridden on a track before. I'd had an R6 for a couple of months that I flew around the estate on. So I looked at his bike, seen it for sale. He wanted over 30 grand for it, and I knocked him down to 26 grand, and I thought, that is some machine. It just looked absolutely gorgeous, you know. 2019 Ducati V4S, and it was all tricked up to bits, and I went, I want that one.
Everyone says that Ducati is like the Ferrari of motorcycles.
It definitely is. So I bought this bike, I took it to Mallory Park. Back then you didn't need a licence to do a track day.
Oh, okay.
In 2020, they didn't bring it in until late 2023.
I didn't realise you needed one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you do. You either need a bike license
sorry.
for the road,
Okay,
or you need a race license. I didn't want to ride on the road, so I ended up getting a race license just to do track days.
Yeah.
So I did a few track days on this Ducati, but when I first started doing them, I didn't have tyre warmers. I didn't check my tyre pressures. It was like, that's pumped all out, you know.
Give it a kick.
It's not flat, and I rolled it out of the van, and I'm you know, after a couple of times of going, I realised people had generators, they had tyre warmers, they had pressure gauges, and I'm getting my tyre changed by the tyre man, and leaving the pressure in it, what he's done, which is about 50 psi, which is like 25 psi more than it needs to be. So I was so green, I didn't have a clue. Yeah, so after that, I did my ACU licence at Mallory Park, did 2 races with no limits back in the 22, which was on an R6, because I realised I couldn't ride the Ducati because I needed to upgrade my licence for that. So I had to buy another bike, an R6, and I did a couple of race meetings then. 23, I did 4 race meetings because I was racing in a formula called F1000, which is it's basically, it looks like a very old F1 car.
Okay.
Well, they've got a Superbike engine in, and they weigh 300 kilo. They've got loads of mechanical grip, and they'll go around most circuits in the UK at the same speed as a Superbike. They're that quick.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. So the bike racing was a bit intermittent in 23. And the same, well, in 2024, I had an accident at Brands Hatch on the bike, and knackered up my shoulder. I had to have my shoulder rebuilt and everything. So that was sort of put me out of racing until the back end of 24. I did 4 race meetings at with no limits again. I did the last 4 races at Donington, Alton, Anglesey, was it? Yeah, it was Anglesey, because that was the first one back when I had a crash again. I crashed again at Anglesey, if you remember.
Oh yeah, you did, yeah.
Yeah, not long after coming back. I mean, when I first started racing again after my crash, because I had my shoulder rebuilt, I couldn't lift my arm. So when I got back on the bike initially, I had to lift my arm onto the accelerator. But I was away. Once my arm was on there, I was away. I was gone. I was all right. And yeah, so then we come to 25, and the No Limits racing starts again, and then we sort of hear the news of OMG not being able to start the season because of funding. That's when we got involved with them, and as you know the story to that, we ended up buying the team and whatnot.
And what made you, how did buying the team come about? That's what I find interesting. Was it something you kind of wanted to get into anyway?
Well, it is a thing. Initially it was just a sponsorship. We was happy with that. But then a little bit into it, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being in the garage, I enjoyed being around the bikes, always have done, I love the bikes. Guys in the garage was amazing as well, really hospitable, really nice to be around and friendly. And I spoke to Alan and said, would you want a business partner? Would you want me to come in and put some of my own money in? I knew he was sort of, you know, obviously he was struggling, he was sort of broke the news he wasn't going to be able to run this year. So I thought, well, if I put some of my own money in, we can sort of guarantee him sponsorship every year. So if I'm his partner, you know, and I give you a load of money and I sort of own half a team with you, then I can say to Matty, my business partner, well, look, do you want to sponsor us every year? You know, it's great exposure for NITROUS. Alan gets a lump sum, he can do whatever he wants with it, and I'll be sort of a team owner and be able to be around it for as long as we can keep going. Alan didn't want a business partner. He'd had a business partner before, a couple of them at the beginning, and he didn't like the idea of having to make a decision with somebody else. You know, he wanted all of it for himself or none of it at all. So he mulled over the idea for a while and then come to me. We had a meeting at Snetterton, I think it was, and he decided, you know, he was happy to sell us the team. So after speaking to Matty, and you know, we put a bit of a plan in place. That's what happened.
Yeah, and then so going from there is obviously business in general has a lot of similarities. Is it a lot different running a team? Is there a lot similarities or
no? It's completely
from
my business. Well, from any business I own. I mean, I own TF Cars, NITROUS Competitions. I own the gym. Obviously, the other race team as well, NITROUS Competitions ADM. It's different altogether. For one, I don't run the team. Paul Curran does.
Yeah.
Right. I'm the owner of the team. I make the big decisions based on, you know, Paul's advice.
Yeah.
So I actually, if Paul was to leave, so would all the rest of the team, because I wouldn't know what to do, because I'm not the team. I've not been in it long enough. You know, I know how to change my own wheels and brakes and everything else, but I couldn't say to him, that's not done, that's not done. You should be doing that. You should be doing that, because it's so technical at that level. These guys know what they're doing. They don't actually need me there. You know, I could never show up at any of the races, and the team functioned quite well without me. You know, probably even better without me looking over the shoulder, to be honest, wouldn't it? But yeah, Paul is he's the grease, he's the oil. You know, he makes the thing turn. He's the one that makes all the big decisions in terms internally with people like Stuart Higgs and, you know, all the officials. Whereas I'm just the owner. You know, in essence, mate, I'm just a money man that's been able to chuck a bit of dough in, and I love bikes.
And do something you love. Basically.
And do something I love. Yeah, you know, being able to run out of Garage 1 as a novice. In that world, I am a novice. You know, I'm super stock, but I'm at the back. You know, I'm able to qualify, but essentially I'm at the back. I'm okay. I'm all right in no limits. You know, I'm fast with the no limits guys, but with these guys, I'm a novice. So being able to run out of Garage 1 is kind of a dream come true, and it's like, wow, how did it end up here? Because we was watching the last race at Brands Hatch last year, watching Kyle and Tommy go over that line on those last couple of laps, and it was like, then I am a year later standing up on the top step accepting the team trophy, which is kind of absurd.
It's kind of surreal.
Very surreal. It's we still pinch ourselves now and think, how did we end up here? You know, it's kind of crazy, because we love bikes, we watch MotoGP, we watch BSB, and for us to be around that, you know, it's kind of like, wow, this is sort of crazy. You know, it is really crazy. So, yeah.
And it's probably nice looking back, and like you say, it kind of probably feels like a blink of an eye, doesn't it?
It is. It's gone so fast. Honestly, it's where the year's gone is it's a miracle to me. You know, it's definitely a mystery. You know. Yeah,
but it's like if you look back years ago, you know, when you were younger, and just looking at your, like you say, before you started, your lorry drive, was it before NITROUS?
Yeah.
And it's like going from there to then starting that to then. It's just, the problem is sometimes you don't know the right decision, do you? You do what you feel is right at the time.
Yeah, it's like my wife said earlier, I'm quite spontaneous. So, you know, this was a spontaneous decision. I had 18 grand sat there, and I thought, well, let's invest. I've always sort of like invested, whether it be buying cars or let's start a bag van business or whatever. And I've chucked my eggs into one basket, and most of the time it becomes a golden egg, but on the odd occasion it's not. So it's kind of strange, mate, where I've come from to where I am now. You know, I grew up on a council estate, you know, with having nothing to having anything I want to a degree. Now, you know, I've had Ferraris, I've had Lamborghinis, I've had this, I've had that. None of it matters really, you know. But to go from that to where we are now, you do have to pinch yourself and be humble. And I always stay humble, and you know, I still see all my old friends from the old ways and stuff, and I'm not any different. Okay, I have to conduct myself a little bit better now, because You know, you when you're on TV and stuff, you know, I'm not saying I was a rogue or anything like that, but you know, you have to be a little bit more PC and just
cautious.
Just be a bit more cautious about your surroundings and stuff. So, but everyone says I've not changed. You know, it's still the same. You know, I get messages. I got one the other day. Oh, you still ain't changed. You're still the same guy, and I love that about you. You know, and it's like it's good to hear.
Yeah. Is there anything else we were thinking of?
No, I think that's most of it. As I say, 'cause it's such an interesting story.
I just love from the fact of the burger, like you're saying, from burger van to then.
That didn't actually take off, by the way. I just bought one and it didn't actually take off. But I was selling cars, and then I thought, I'm going to buy a burger van, and then that didn't take off, and then it was because the burger van didn't take off why I went into NITROUS, because I was sort of like, that's not where it's right. So, you know, it's a sense of failure. So I thought, right, what else can I go into? And that money was a deposit for an house, and you know, really, any sensible guy would have probably kept that for the deposit on an house, you know. And I'm not sensible, far from it. Very spontaneous decisions off a, you know, just off a whim, and that's why I've ended up where I am. You know, I think there's no reward without risk, should I say? And that's a basic principle of mine. You've got to take risks.
Yeah.
You have.
As Del Boy says, was it he who dares wins?
Exactly, mate. That's.
And what made you buy the gym? Is that a bit slightly different? Is that passion or?
I've always been into fitness ever since I was a kid.
Yeah.
If you could look at me as a kid, you'd see me running around a dining room table all night trying to stay fit. The dining room table was about the size of this, and I'd run around it all night. And my mum bought me a set of these weights, and these weights you could unscrew them and then bolt another bit onto the end, right? And this was in the 80s, early 80s. She bought me this when I lived in Newcastle in a place called Rawdon Court, which is a very, very rough area. You know, the police helicopter would be out every night over that area. And I remember being a kid, and I'd be like this and running around the table all the time. And I was always hyper and always, you know, I was just, and I've always wanted to own my own gym. Since I started going to the gym, I didn't actually go to a gym until very late teens, early 20s. And it was a bit intermittent because I felt a bit, I just felt like getting anxiety when I'd walk in the gym, you know, all these big lads there, and I was just, you know, a skinny little kid at the time. And then I just decided, right, I'm going to go to the gym, and I stuck at it in my mid to late 20s, and ever since then, I've like, I'd love to own my own gym, it'd be great, you know. Got to know a few gym owners, because I used to go to different gyms around Leicester. And then I stumbled across this place one day when I was going into a shop on Narber Road to buy some pre-workout or whatever it was. And I asked him, is there any gyms in the area? And then he directed me to the Muscle Machine gym in Leicester, which was just around the corner. And I went there for 11 years before I bought the place. And I'd always do a couple of months at the gym and go somewhere else. But this gym is that good, you know, it just has everything. You can walk around there for 5 years and then stumble over a bit of kit that you've never noticed before. It's that big, it's got that many machines in there. And again, it's like my missus said earlier, it looks like a torture chamber in there. Because all of the equipment's like old and metal, and you don't know what it is, and you're like, what does that do? And you're like, you'll see something and you'll be like, I've never seen that before. Obviously I know now because I own the place and we have to maintain it, but before, you know, for years I'd be kicking around that place and I'd be like, I've noticed that machine before. You know, it's got a vast amount of machinery dotted all over the place, really good. It's got an area at the back for boxing and stuff, because I used to do boxing as well. So when I used to fight, I used to train there as well. So yeah, it's got loads of punch bags. It's got a boxing ring and a big mat for MMA, and a lot of fighters train there from Leicester. But the weight area is so vast. It's just, you'd love it. I'm speaking to your dad, but just so the guys on the camera know, your dad's here. Teddy goes gym. He's built like Arnie there.
But we also, I meant to say, I've noticed you're sponsoring boxers where something came up.
We have now gone into boxing, promoting NITROUS promotions. So again, it's more of an exposure thing, because the couple of guys we've got headlining, Luke, Dyson and Tommy Hench, have had 2 fights previously. Now the big social media guys, and a lot of people have been trying to make this fight happen, like the Trilogy fight between these 2 guys. There's a lot of water under the bridge between them, and I've gone in and I've offered them a big purse to make this happen, you know, and they both agreed, you know, after a bit of discussion and whatnot, they both agreed, and we've got about 12 to 15 undercard fighters. Obviously a couple will probably pull out between now and 27th of December, but these 2 guys got a huge following, and we've done it as an exposure thing. Yes, I love boxing, don't get me wrong, but at the same time it's more of a business decision.
Yeah.
You know, I want NITROUS to get exposure, and for us it's quite of a, I wouldn't say it's a cheap way, because it's not actually cheap, so I'm hoping with ticket sales and whatnot we'll sort of get the money back what it's cost us to put this promotion on. But it's in Leicester, it's on the 27th of December at Club Republic in Leicester Town, and it's going to be a good night. It's going to be a really good night. It's going to be put out on our YouTube channel, NITROUS Competitions Official. We were initially going to, sorry, I'm looking at your dad there, it's because he directed the question at me, but we weren't initially going to put it on for free, but we wanted people to subscribe to our channel, and we have to charge 99p now for people to watch it as a subscriber on that night. So yeah, it's going to be 99p. It's, you know, it's nothing really, is it? So yeah, and we're going to be there, and we're going to have a good time. You know, I might have a couple of beers.
I saw that, and I noticed that the other day.
Yeah.
It was because you used to have little boxing lessons years ago with a lad called Matt Legg that's from Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
And I saw it come up when I was following some of his stuff the other day.
Yeah, well, I've done it for about 10 years on and off, because I was always out drinking with the lads, and I just got fed up with it. Just early 30s, and I seen something come up, this white collar thing, and yeah, I ended up doing it for about 10 years, and then I ruptured my bicep sparring, just as I was training to defend my title. I won a belt at white collar, and I was training to defend the belt, and I ruptured my bicep, so that was the end of that. And then I just didn't go back to it, did I? I just didn't go back to it. I just that's when I started getting more into the bikes as well. And COVID kicked in as well after that. But I was actually in a cast still from the operation when COVID kicked in. Actually, now I met her and I had a cast on my arms. Yeah.
But no, thank you very much for that. No, that was really, really interesting. Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, it's been great having you, mate.